Hello, search here for the backyard driving range. We have a question today, or it's really not so much a question as it is basically a statement, and this comes to me from Joe Bernard. And Joe says, Dawn, thanks again to you and Dave, that's Dave Seaman, one of our level 3 head instructors that I do a lot of golf schools with, for a great day in Colorado. Dave and I just spent about 4 days up in Colorado doing a one-day golf school program where we check everybody's setup and swing out in the morning and work on correcting those so they can have a more correct PGS swing and hit the ball better and play better and shoot lower scores. And then we have a 9-hole playing lesson where we split the group up, and he plays with some, I play with some, we play a scramble, and then we switch halfway through so they get to play with both of us. And those things are working great. We're coming hopefully to a place near you soon, so just keep checking the website on that. So again, Joe goes on to say, I learned a lot about what I need to work on, and as I promised you, I've already been to my eye doctor and have a new set of non-bifocal glasses on order. That is probably worth a mention on one of your daily videos. Well, Joe, here it is, and I'm mentioning it because it's important. I didn't realize how much it was affecting my head position and tightening my upper back. As I've heard you say many times, everything is connected, so when one part of your body is in the wrong place, it affects everything else. Thanks again for everything, and hope to see you next year when you're back in Colorado. Joe Bernard. Well, Joe, we hope like heck we're going to be back in Colorado, and yes, I'm going to talk about bifocals, say how important they are. Before I step up and say a few comments about how it affects the swing, I want to talk about this book that I have. It's called The Pro's Edge, Vision Training for Golf, Improve Your Putting, Long Game and Short Game by Dr. Lawrence D. Lampert. Well, Dr. Lampert, as it states on the back cover here, says, Sports Vision Training is the cutting-edge program used by golf pros and seasoned players to learn to read the greens better, putt more consistently, stroke the ball smoother, and drive with more precision. It's the golf pro's best-kept secret. Dr. Lawrence D. Lampert has a successful optometry practice in Boca Raton, Florida. Dr. Lampert has worked with players from the New York Yankees, Chicago Cubs, Miami Dolphins, Montreal Expos, and Cleveland Indians. Dr. Lampert was selected by Bausch & Lomb to be part of an elite team of vision specialists at the 1996 Olympic Summer Games in Atlanta. He also does work for Bausch & Lomb at the Transitions tournament, or whoever it is, Transitions, I guess, lenses, at their tournament out in Tampa when they played a PGA Tour there. Dr. Lambert, I think, is recognized as a leading authority on sports vision, okay? Let me go to page 106 in his book, The Pro's Edge, which is actually, we're going to call that Every Golfer's Edge. The title of this paragraph is Bifocals with Golf. I suggest to most golfers that they do not wear bifocals. The bifocal or progressive portion of the lens is set to focus about 16 inches and blurs the ball at the address position. If the bifocal has a line, it also gets in the way and causes shifts in head posture to look around it. Most players should get a pair of glasses without bifocals for golf. But if you need them, you have your eye care professional design one of two different things. And what he basically states is if you're going to wear bifocals, get the lenses put way down in the corners over here. Now, one time, I also recommend that bifocals, if you're going to have them and you're going to put them anywhere, where normally the reading part's on the bottom and the distance is on the top. I once had a student that had it for years, and I kept telling him, his name was Gary, I said, Gary, get out of those glasses, get out of those glasses, get rid of the bifocal. One day he came to me, and this is before they had the progressive lens with no lines, and I've had my optometrist, who's a 3 handicap, and he said that the progressives are even worse because you don't have a definitive point to know where is your reading lens or your up close lens, and where's your distance lens. So he thinks those are even worse, and he's a 3 handicap. And so the key is, Gary went out and he came back one day, and this is when there's still lines, and he's standing there, and he had one of these big kind of like aviator looking type glasses, what he always wore to play golf, and that's what I recommend. I think that even this pair is too small. I think you need to have glasses well down near your down to your cheeks, and I'll tell you why in a second. But too small glasses are no good either. So you need these like that, especially made for sports, and they're down really farther on your cheek. And this pair in my right hand is probably at least 20 to 30 or more % bigger in terms of top to bottom than this pair. And I'm going to talk about that again also. So Gary shows up one day, and he comes up to me, and he's got his glasses on, and he just starts going like this to me. I said, "Yeah, so what, Gary? I see you still got bifocals. You got the line right there." He said, "Yeah, but I went to my optometrist and I had him flip them. So now the distance is in the bottom and the reading's at the top. So now when I do my scorecard, I look down rather than look up, and therefore I can now stay with my head put high and see the ball out of the bottom of my glasses. All right, so that's the point. So again, getting back to one thing, let's add the glasses bigger. We had a student, and very likely it was Joe, because Joe came in and he had a setup where he was basically almost standing on top of himself. He had his head way down to look at the glass to see the ball, and he was making a swing that had the club going outside, and he had just a way really fast golf swing, because when he came down, he was getting his body out of the way and everything else to have a chance of getting his hands to the ball without slamming into his legs. And fortunately, he was extremely supple and flexible. Might have even been as much as double jointed, because I don't think 99% of golfers in the world could make the movements he was making and not end up almost crippling themselves. And when he hit it, it was unbelievable. And he hit the ball. I mean, he was a little guy. He was probably about my height, but he was much more smaller stature, so to speak, like a Gary Player type body, or Chichi Rodriguez or something like that. And it wasn't that big a guy, but boy, he could develop some serious clubhead speed. On one hole, I busted a drive, and he hit a 3 within 10 yards of me, and this was an uphill hole where the ball didn't roll much. So I mean, he could smoke it. Well, when we started the lesson off, I ask everybody now who wears glasses, are they bifocals or trifocals, because now the progressives don't have lines. I've actually had to come to the point of saying that, asking people who are not wearing glasses, are you wearing contacts with bifocals or trifocals? Because they're now making those. And guess what I'm getting? I mean, it seemed like at this golf school, which predominantly had it was all men, and it had I'd say most of them were at least over 50 years old, and we had a couple younger ones, and even 2 of the younger ones had bifocals. And so it seems like, I'd say probably as much as 80% plus of everybody that I'm teaching now is got bifocals or trifocals. And so hopefully this message from Joe and from Dr. Lampert and from me will resonate. If you want to play better golf, you have to not have bifocals, or if you do, at least the near part for reading is up on the top, and the distance part's at the bottom. Reverse them, okay? Or put them way down here in the corner, as Dr. Lampert suggested as one of his suggestions if you have to have them. I think you'd still be better off putting them at the top than down in the corner, and make the glasses bigger. When I talked to Joe about it, I said, and Joe said something that as part of his telling me what was going on with his game. He said his game, he'd been doing a peak performance swing since way back when I started it, and at least 3 years, and all of a sudden his game fell apart about a year ago. And he said everything went, especially his driver and putting, everything. So after I had this long, detailed talk with him about the bifocals and you can't have them or whatever, I had one other student one day had him. He went to his car, got his driving glasses, which were a distance glass, and boom, just like that, his posture changed. We could get him from his head down look and get him up to where his eyes were, where his head was at the same angle of his spine, and his eyes could go downward, and boom, all of a sudden we could adjust his posture. He was also standing too close, and we got him into a good posture, and so he was amazed at what happened. So he was playing with his driving glasses, which were just totally distance, and yet he could still see the ball relatively well. Okay, so I had two cases there. Well, when I talked to Joe about all of this and about the year, guess what he came up when we went in for lunch? He said all the time that after I had that conversation with him and started working with him and got him to he took the glasses off while we were working together and for the rest of the hitting that day, he came up at lunch and he said, you know what, I just thought about it. He said, it was about a year ago I got these glasses. And on top of it, his glasses were absolutely, actually kind of like one of these really sleek-looking glasses that a lot of folks wear. They're even smaller than this glass. They're probably about 20% smaller than these. The lenses are probably no more, not even an inch from top to bottom. A lot of the ladies wear them, and I've seen a lot of the guys wearing them. And so he had even a smaller lens. So that means that he had to bend down even more to get the bottom of the frame out of his, farther out. And now he is just... So even if you're playing and you don't need bifocals, but you're playing with some type of glass where it's not a wide enough frame from top to bottom, you still might have to bend down more to get the bottom of the lens out of your vision. And lastly, it comes down to, let's talk about your eyes. Your eyes are in a ball and socket joint, okay? And they're designed that they can move in the socket. They can move from right to left and up and down. So the concept is when you bend over and you look at the ball, if you have glasses on, you have to, looking at, say if my eyes are looking straight forward like this now, when you bend down, you have to, if you have bifocals on, you have to bend your head more, which gets your head way down here like this, looking at the ball. Whereas if you have non-bifocals, or the bifocal at the top, and you have a bigger lens, so to speak, than these thin lenses. These are, I should say, they're not very deep from top to bottom. You have these, and you're putting them on. You don't have to worry about the bottom of the frame getting in the way. Okay. So when you getting back to the eyes, so what has to happen is if I stand up and I'm looking straight at the camera right now, my eyes are at this angle looking downward. All right. So I come into this view so you can see it. Well, when I get into my posture, see my eyes are horizontal to the ground right now. I bend down. If I don't, my eyes are now looking somewhere out here, but the ball is over here. So what do? Most golfers, especially if you're wearing bifocals, you're just going to do what? You're just going to keep bending your head down till you can see over the bifocal, or at least till you have your eyes at the ball. What you really need to do is get in here and just make your eyes go down in your eye socket. That's why they roll around up and down, okay? So you still keep your head up and you make your eyes go downward to find the ball. So that's going to help you even more keep your eye up, which you can't do it if you have low lens, low frame at the bottom, or because of very thin glasses in terms of from top to bottom. Depth, that is, I guess we could say. So we've talked a lot about the concept with glasses. We've heard Joe's statement about how it helped him, and he's getting a new pair of glasses. We've heard the comments from Dr. Lawrence D. Lampert in his Pro's Edge book, which I just retitled for everybody, The Golfer's Edge, and those are on page 106 and 107. And there's a lot of other great things in this book, and hopefully in the future I'm going to be doing some stuff with Dr. Lampert and bring some more of his information to all of you. And so with that said, you should be playing with sunglasses. There's plenty of stuff out there to tell you that not wearing sunglasses is a great cause of causing cataract problems. So if you play a lot of golf, you're out in the sunshine a lot, you should be wearing sunglasses. Try to get sunglasses that have no distortion from top to bottom or right to left, because if they're distorted, you'll have trouble seeing the ball, almost as if you were wearing bifocals. And they're out there, so you need to ask about that. And before you buy a pair, put them on and make sure that when you have your head erect at a dress and you bend over and you keep your head to your spine, that when you put your eyes down to look at the ball is crystal clear, and it'll be crystal clear to you throughout the swing. I guess there's no better test than to see if the glasses are free from distortion. All right, and ultimately, if you can, make sure there's sunglasses to help save your eyes from the effects of the sun that will have a high probability of creating cataracts. So we want to do all the things we can for the sun in terms of sunscreen and the eyes. But the key becomes, when you put your head down, you take your neck and your shoulders and some of your back out of total dynamic balance. When the head goes real down to look at the top of the ball, eventually you have to do what? You tend to crawl into the ball to become a lot more close to the ball and be able to keep the ball in the upper part of the glasses while you swing, because if you had proper head and you started swinging, even the slightest little bit of movement, that even with the peak performance swing, we do very little movement, could start making the ball jump up and down in those lenses, those bifocals or trifocals. And so it's nothing but a drain. And I've had golfers come up to me and say, Serge, you always said that the bifocals, getting rid of the bifocals would help my long game, but you never said anything about my short game, and especially my putting. And I always come back and say, when I say your game, I meant to say that it will help every part of your game. So I'm going to say it in plain English here. It'll help every aspect of your game, including your putting. Because again, with the short putter, as long as it is, to put your head down so far, your chin's resting on your neck for most people, and you're looking down over the top. And again, that's taking your neck out of dynamic balance as well as your shoulders and everything. And so if it's out of balance, it can't function. The muscles can't work properly together. So I guess I'm going to close on this point and say, probably make this the ultimate bifocal daily, all right, by saying you cannot play good golf with bifocals, trifocals, or any focals, whether it be glasses or contact lenses. You cannot play good golf with them because they take the body out of dynamic balance. And as Joe said very eloquently in his email, when your body is out of position, the muscles are not properly set, it's going to ruin your swing because you cannot make an effective swing with out of dynamic balance muscles. And bifocals, trifocals, whether they're glasses or contacts, and especially if they're progressives, not progressives, but the ones, whatever you call them, without the line, you have to definitely keep your head down even more to make sure you don't jump back and forth or reduce that probability. Bifocals, you cannot play golf and play well in them. All they are doing, and I want to say this right now, I think that probably as far as alignment, I've always said 90 to 95% of all swing problems arise out of alignment. I think I can probably throw that and say 95% of all swing problems arise out of alignment, and anyone wearing bifocals also causes these issues. So I'm going to throw bifocals right in there with alignment as being a 90 to 95% creator of swing problems, because it takes your body out of dynamic balance, and as much as bad alignment does, and probably even worse because it's affecting your shoulders and your neck, which have something to do with what? Lifting your arms and returning your arms to impact. It's directly related to the closest area of what swings the golf club, your arms, because we swing and get our speed from the arm swing with a quieter body. Okay? So one last time, please, if you want, I'll get on my knees and I'll beg it like I say about alignment. Align properly, and you can't play golf with bifocals. So go get yourself some good sunglasses. Make sure they're really, really good size so you can keep your head tall in line with your spine when you swing, and your eyes go down to see the ball. And like I say a lot, do that, and you will find that you'll be hitting the ball much more solid, straight, longer, and shooting those lower scores, because now you really will be able to have the peak performance setup and therefore the peak performance swing. So on bifocals, can't do them, can't use them, get rid of them to play golf. That's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking to you all again soon.